Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. I have some more answers to the questions that you asked for. So today, joining me again is Robert Clancy from Mindset Reset Show.
Yes, so we have some great questions that have come in on the YouTube channel, and this one comes in from Shadow Dancer, and it is, what was your favorite fight scene out of all your American movies?
Oh, out of all the American ones. Okay, because you do know my favorite are the Hong Kong ones. I would have to say it was probably uh, one of the fight scenes that I did in Irresistible Force. That's a movie I did with, why can't I think of his name? Oh, Stacy Keach. Yes, movie I did with Stacy Keach. And we did a scene inside. It was supposed to be a mall, and I was in a kitchen. And at that time, I still like Jackie Chan's move. I wanted to do a Jackie Chan scene where I'm fighting with the pots and pans and all the kitchen utensils. And I remember at that time, that was around the time when Brandon Lee was shot and he's killed with the gun on set. With the thought there was a blank in it. So I was so cautious of guns, right? And I was like, "Are you sure there's blanks in that?" And I remember running out of the entrance to the kitchen store that we were in, and I got hit in the butt by a bullet, a blank. And I'm telling you, I've known now blanks hurt like heck. So, so that was my favorite American fight scene.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was a little bit of different Rothrock sting there. Gotcha. In that
Yeah.
one, but that's a great one. That's almost like the Die Hard. It was kind of a takeoff from that, and that was when it was a television movie, was it not? The one you just, yeah.
Right. We'll have to talk about that because that was a very fun experience for me shooting with Stacy Keach.
Yeah. So the next question that came in was from Mike Nichols. It's, do you enjoy doing roles like that you had in the Hercules series? Doing like a
Oh,
mythical character, yeah.
I loved Hercules. That's one of my favorite things I've ever done. And it was just for that fact that I got to play a character, and I love that. I think I love that more than playing, badass, kick 'em up, shoot 'em roles because I was like sent from Hera to kill Hercules and anything goes. I just remember I'd have to go this way and then I'd have to go that way. And then in post production, they'd have me split opening up in two ways and they'd have a torch and I'd be like opening my mouth and they'd have fire come out because I did fire. I love that. I'd have to say, now that I think about it, that Hercules is one of my most favorite things I've ever filmed. And it was so amazing to work with Kevin Sorbo. So again, yeah, thanks for that question because we'll have to talk about Hercules because that was a lot of fun shooting in New Zealand.
Yeah, and Mike had a second question. Was there a movie role you didn't get that you would have loved to have?
Well, it's not one that I've ever auditioned for because I was lucky. I really didn't have to do auditions. So I could only say there are roles that I've seen that I would love to have had. One is when I first saw La Femme Nikita, and I believe that was the French version of the film. I loved it, and I was like, I would have loved to have played that role. So, not so much that I tried out for a role and didn't get it, but more so seeing something on TV saying, I would have loved to have played that part.
Well, maybe they could do a role reversal and you could be the assassin and have a young boy that you train to be the killer.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
would be kind of cool. Just some ideas out there for people. Anthony Taylor asked, and I think you've answered a little bit on the board, at least through answering the questions out there. But here are your thoughts on this. But have you ever tried out or wanted to try out for a a screen queen role and something a little action oriented in the lines of The Descent or Friday the 13th?
Well, I did want to try out for a Scream Queen role.
Ice cream scream.
You scream, we all
Yeah,
scream.
that.
Yeah, I would love to do a horror movie. I think when they were doing the Scream Queen, actually, one of my really good friends, Fred Olin Ray, he was like a director on all those. And I don't know, I never did one because I was doing all the action. But, one of the things I would love to do is be in a horror movie, and I've had people say, oh, we're going to do one. We want you in it. We want you in it. But it never really gets to fruition to do it. But I would love to play like a vampire or something like that, or like I wouldn't want to play a devil, but I could play like an angel or a ghost or something like like that. And scary movies do scare me, so I often wondered, man, if it was something like with possession or something, that would really be creepy for me to do. But one of my favorite genres in film is horror. Now you might think it's action, but it isn't. It's like a good horror film or a good comedy.
Excellent. So there was a second part from Anthony. He said, is there a particular studio or director that you would like to work with? And he was framing it up for the horror genre, but I would like to expand it. Is there any studio or director that you would love to work with that you haven't?
Well, any studio, it doesn't matter to me. It's even small or big. I just like to work. But for directors, one of my favorite directors is Tim Burton. And I would love to be in a Tim Burton film because he is so quirky. I love his movies. His characters are bizarre. They're funny. And going back to playing a character like in Hercules, I know that if you were in a Tim Burton movie, you would be some kind of strange character. So I guess he would be on the top of my list of wanting some, to work with a director. And also, I would also like to work with Ang Lee, because he does have that Hong Kong background, that Hong Kong style. So he would be like my second choice that I'd love to work with.
Awesome. And you were also, several people have asked this question, and I've seen some things out there online. This came in from Metal Dog. Were you ever asked to be in the Expendables, or was there some talk about a female Expendables cast?
I was never asked to be in the Expendables, and I didn't know that movie till it came out. And when I looked at it, I was like, why am I not in it? It was all people from the 80s and the 90s, and I was the only female really doing movies there during that time, so I never got why they didn't ask me to be in it, and everybody asked that. Why aren't you in the Expendables? There's even pages on Facebook. Cynthia Rothrock should be in the Expendables, so I just need to get with Sylvester Stallone and say, yes, I need to be in the next Expendables. And then there was talk about, doing a female version of the Expendables. And the writers called me and they said, we really don't know much about martial arts, but we want to take a lesson from you and a couple lessons. And even in our script, one of the characters is Cynthia Rothrock because we love you. So I said, okay. And they said, how much would you charge? I said, I tell you what, if you put in a good word for me in the film, I won't charge you anything. So I gave them some private lessons. And then that's how they got to write the action for this film. And it was supposed to be like a comedy or something. And I don't think it ever really went. But what they said is that the people said, oh, no, we only want A-listed people in it. So I'm thinking, okay, well, if you don't have someone that really knows how to fight, that's going to be down because I think, having a bunch of women that nobody really knows how to fight. I've been in movies where they had a bunch of guys and they didn't really know how to fight. I was like, no, it doesn't work. You got to have some really good fighters in there. And then I met with Adi Shankar, who I was so nervous meeting with him, but they called me and they said, Adi Shankar would like, to meet you. And I'm like, oh my God, I love his movies. So I go in. And I am nervous. I don't like auditions. I'm okay with the meeting, but I'm still nervous because it's Adi Shankar. And he's a young guy. And he's in his office and it's all glass, but he could see me. And he's looking at me while he's talking to someone. And I started waving to him. I didn't know what to do. And he just looked at me, he didn't wave back. And I was like, oh, heck, all right. So then I get in and we talk for about 2 hours. And he's like, I want to do like a female Expendables, but it's going to be nitty and gritty and dark and dirty. And I was like, oh, I love it. And he was like, would you wear clown makeup? And I said, absolutely. I said, but would I have to wear that little red nose? And he's like, no. And he said, what would you like to play? I said, I'd love to do weapons because that's one of the things I'm really best at. And I could take anything and use it as a weapon. And he's going, okay, I'm going to have the writer write that in. And he said, well, do you want to be a good person or a bad person? I said, well, it doesn't matter. I said, what I would like to do is like after the movie is over, I was a character people would remember, And he says, great, I'm writing you into the script. The writer called me. I kept in touch with Adi Shankar for about 2 years. And then, like Hollywood, the movie never got made.
Well, there's still chances for that. I think that they definitely need to bring something out on that. You guys would be great, and you and the rest of the cast that they were, at least I saw proposed out there, was looking pretty good. A couple of fans have asked this question: would you like to make a movie with Donnie Yen?
Yeah. Well, before I answer that, the interesting thing is now that we're sitting here, and this is why I have a lot of time to do a lot of the videos because I'm not out working or traveling. You know, I've been offered like 4 or 5 movies, right? Like now while we're at home quarantine. And I think it's just thanks to you guys for supporting me and me getting out there a little bit more. So we'll see. Hopefully something like that will come about. But Donnie Yen, I know Donnie Yen. When I was going to school in Boston, I was going to college there. I was doing martial arts. And I just read about his mother, Bo Sim Mark. She was like a wushu stylist, and she had a book, and I would follow that book and watch her, and that was my dream, to train with her someday. I never got the chance to meet her, but we did talk later on. She's like, "Oh, I'm a big fan," and Donnie was her student. She trained him, and but I got to meet Donnie, and we became friends. And I would love to do something with him. This new movie I'm doing, The Huntress, they do have a little bit of a Wing Chun scene in there that I'm doing, and I've never really was a Wing Chun stylist, but I did some work on the dummy, and I was like, yeah, I got beat up pretty bad by the dummy, but it was fun to learn something and do something different. So yeah, I would love to work with Donnie. So he's a great guy.
I saw one of the scenes where, at least from on set, where you were actually working with that, and you got pretty bruised up from hitting the Wing Chun, because you actually hit it hard enough so that the sound would be recorded in the film.
Exactly. I wanted the real sound, and I wanted to do it fast, but when you are doing it, it's just lightly. You're not really hitting it. But I felt like I really wanted to hit it, because I'm a traditional stylist. So I hit it hard. I thought if I was just going slow, I wouldn't really get that feeling inside me. So I was hitting it really hard. I mean, I punched it. My knuckle was red. My arms were all bruised. But thank God for Didajao, because in 2 days it was completely gone. But yeah, and then it got. Robin Shu is the action director, is a good friend of mine and phenomenal martial artist and actor as well from Mortal Kombat. And he was like taking so many takes, so many versions, so many this, so many that at the end he said, okay, I just want you to hit it just so we could get some extra sound. And by that time, my arms were so sore. I said, can someone else just whack that thing? I said, because I'm done. I'm not on camera. So they just want to get ambience of some sound. So that was a fun experience. I felt like I was back in Hong Kong shooting movies, getting bruised up. And I was like, yes, I love this.
Well, as always, thank you so much for your time and getting to all the fans on these questions. And, we'll encourage the fans to keep posting these on the channel so that we can get to these. And these questions are great, so keep them coming, guys.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, and stay safe. Hi, this is Cynthia Rothrock. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. And if you like the videos, please put a like on it and refer it to your friends.